What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today, we're looking at the results of the Sunday Open from February 21st, and this online tournament held on play.limitlesstcg.com allowed the new Shining Fates set to be legal for the standard format. So this is one of our first looks at the Shining Fates set, having an impact on the competitive Pokemon TCG standard format. Before we start taking a look at some of these old decks with new inclusions and also brand new decks, shout out to PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes, and be sure to use code CELIO for 5% off. The first two decks we're going to look at are existing archetypes that have had slight changes. So we're going to be looking at ADP Zacian, which is a deck I'm sure you are all aware of if you've been paying attention to standard format. Now, the only new card this gains is Rusted Sword. Other than that, this archetype looks exactly the same. So the new card, Rusted Sword from Shining Fates, reads: the attack of the Zacian V this card is attached to do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So after Alter Creation, Zacian's Brave Blade does 230. Now I'm sorry, 260, and now after Rusted Sword it does 290. So that means you can one-shot Mewtwo and Mew, you can one-shot Raichu tag team, even if because of its resistance, you can one-shot a Reshizard. So this helps you go through tag teams a little easier. So Rusted Sword, I think, is a card that kind of just either not necessarily nerfs tag teams, but definitely makes tag teams a little scarier to play as your main focus of a deck because they aren't as bulky against Zacian decks any longer. The next one we'll look at is, we'll just go down the line of ADPZ variants here. This is another ADPZ listed as playing Rusted Sword. However, it is also playing Galarian Berserker and Leon. Galarian Berserker's Steely Spirit says your metal Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And Leon is a supporter card that says during this turn, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Now, this deck is only playing 3 bosses orders, but I honestly am okay with that for this variant of the deck because this is focusing on knocking out the active no matter what it is. Boss's Orders has been so important to ADP Zacian because you want to gust around VMAX Pokemon and a tag team Pokemon and hit the support. But with Brave Blade's 230, 260 after Alter, 290 after Rusted Sword, 320 after Leon, 340 after Galarian Berserker, you can even one-shot Eternus VMAXs with Brave Blade. So with all of these buffs happening, I think it's quite okay to just cut one boss's orders down when you're planning on knocking out Eternatus VMAXs and Centiskorch VMAXs and certainly all the tag teams. So this is definitely a pretty big buff to ADPZ's damage output. The question is, how much does it hurt the consistency to have the 2-2 line of Galarian Berserker in there as well? Next, let's take a look at some of the rogue decks. So here we have Darren in 5th place with a Crobat VMAX deck. Now this is a fully Crobat deck, which is kind of crazy to see because 4 Crobat V is something you'll see as a support Pokemon in Eternatus VMAX decks. But this is a Crobat-focused deck. So the new Crobat VMAX from Shining Fates has the attack Stealth Poison. For Dark Colorless, it does 70. Your opponent's active is poisoned, and you switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So I like that it has a couple things going on here. It has Poison, which goes nicely with Toxicroak that buffs up the poison damage. And it also has a switch, which goes nicely with Altaria, which can't be hit by V and GX Pokemon, and with Lily's Pokédoll, which just doesn't give your opponent a prize card when knocked out. So the focus of this deck is to hit and poison your opponent while switching into a wall, whether that wall is Altaria or Lily's Pokédoll. Also throw in some Crushing Hammers in there for good measure. I think this deck is really cool. It can be played around if your opponent has tech attackers to get through Altaria. If your opponent plays a lot of switching to get rid of the poison or gusts to bring back up Crobat VMAX. I think this will be considered a rogue deck moving forward. I don't think it gets itself into the tier list of the metagame, but I think it was pretty cool that it did so well in the Sunday Open. The other rogue deck we'll look at here is Green's Bird Trio with the new Amazing Rare Reshiram. So this one is something I have my eye on. I really like this. I've seen tons of drafts for Amazing Rare Reshiram on Twitter, and seeing this one do pretty well in a tournament was super exciting. So Bird Trio and Victini, let's review these before we hop into the new card, which is Reshiram. So Victini has the Victory Sign attack, which for a fire energy, search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards of different types and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. So you want to go second with this deck and use Victini's Victory Sign to excel 2 energy onto the board. And sorry, I closed out of that tab by accident. And the old main target, so in the original variant of this deck prior to Amazing Rare Reshiram, Bird Trio, Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno tag team was the only target for that attack to attach energy to. The Trinity Burn attack does 210, and with a Vitality Band 220 to knock out a Zacian V, which is an important target. And it also has the Sky Legends GX attack. For one colorless, you shuffle this Pokemon into your deck. If it has basically the same energy requirements as Trinity Burn, Fire, Water, Colorless, and Lightning, it does 110 to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon, and you shuffle it back into your deck. So you can set up knockouts on multiple things and then clean it up with Sky Legends GX, or you can set up the knockouts with Sky Legends GX while healing your Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno by shuffling it into your deck. Now, the one thing that I think is really missing from this deck that I would like to see is Lily's Pokédoll to put into the active spot after Sky Legends. The new inclusion here is Reshiram Amazing Rare, which for Fire, Lightning, and Dark does 270 HP and then does 60 damage to itself. So you'll see where this pairs fairly well with this deck because Victini's already attaching multiple kinds of energy at a time to a Pokemon, mainly Bird Trio, but now we also have Reshiram as an option. Reshiram has much less HP, so it will not be surviving a hit like the Bird Trio tag team does, but it can one-shot tag teams, which the Bird Trio cannot. It can even one-shot an ADP because of Vitality Band. Milotic, of course, is here for the Centiskorch matchup, since it can one-shot at Centiskorch, so that's really nice. And then Tapu Koko Prism accelerates lightning energy, and both the Bird Trio and Reshiram use lightning in their attack costs. So I think this is a really awesome deck to keep your eye out for, and hopefully I'll be doing some gameplay with it on the channel pretty soon. And the last deck I want to look at today is Kant's Straight Zacian. Now, of course, you'll know that I made a Straight Zacian list on this channel using Scoop Up Nets, Galarian Zigzagoon, Jirachi, and just a 1/1 line of Galarian Berserker. This list is more heavily focused on Galarian Berserker, while also using Rotom Phone and Great Catcher as cards that I did not include in my variant. So we've already looked at Galarian Berserker in the ADPZ. We've looked at Rusted Sword. This is just a Zacian variant without using tag teams. So you can actually just pop an ADP on turn 2 instead of needing to use your own ADP first as part of your game plan. So we'll have to see if Straight Zacian makes its way into the metagame as a viable Zacian archetype. But those are all the decks I wanted to talk about today that are including new Shining Fates cards. And it's pretty exciting that even a non-competitive set like Shining Fates can spice up the game a little bit. And yeah, we'll see what this standard format ends up looking like. We'll only have this Shining Fates standard for about a month or so because Battle Styles is coming out next month, and that's going to be very exciting and should change up quite a few things. So let me know what you think about these Shining Fates cards. Are there any Shining Fates cards not included in these decks from the Sunday Open results that should be getting competitive play? Let me know what you think about that. And if you need cards on Pokemon TCG Online, be sure to go pick up some codes at PotownStore.com and use code CELIO for 5% off. If you have not already subscribed to this channel for daily Pokemon TCG content, be sure to do that and leave a like on the video as well because it helps us reach other viewers. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.